sis.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm sure you're all wondering, how is this Mohammed? My name is Rejoice Macheta, or previously Macheta. I'm now Mutaung. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm Rejoice Mutaung. I come to you here on behalf of our Executive Director, Ms. Shanila Mohammed. Unfortunately, she could not be here today due to a medical emergency that she had to undergo today. But she has asked that I come and share a few words with you all, as well as with the Department of Basic Education. So today we're going to be talking about 30 years of human rights practice in South African schools. We would like to first thank you for inviting us to the second annual national conference for RCLs in South Africa. We commend the Department of Basic Education for its ongoing efforts to amplify people's voices through initiatives that contribute to human rights education in South Africa. Human rights education is crucial for instilling the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values necessary to foster a culture of human rights. We greatly value this initiative by the department and our partnership in this very important work. In a country like South Africa, where 30 years ago the majority of people in this country had little to no rights, the struggle to get to where we are today should never be forgotten. Children should understand that rights need to be safeguarded and protected and should never be taken for granted, and the only way to do this is through the provision of human rights education across the board. Amnesty International supports schools and their wider communities in all regions of the world to build a global culture of human rights. Our model aims to empower young people and promote the active participation of all members of the school community to integrate human rights values and principles into into all areas of school life. We believe that education should from an early age actually ensure that the rights are instilled, and that it is important, there is importance in respecting others' rights, and the significance of not violating those rights form the foundation of the society that understands and values both personal and collective rights. Again, I repeat, we believe that educating children from an early age about their rights, the importance of respecting others' rights, and the significance of not violating these rights from an early foundation, it actually forms a foundation for a society that understands and values both personal and collective rights. Today we gather to reflect on 30 years of human rights practice in South African schools, a journey marked by progress but also challenges in our joint commitment to the right to quality basic education. Since the end of apartheid, South Africa has made significant strides in expanding access to education. However, some hurdles remain. The education system is unfortunately still plagued by the legacy of apartheid. Some children in poorer communities and previously disadvantaged backgrounds still bearing the brunt of issues facing the sector, which means that actually not everyone has access to quality basic education. Amnesty International has done a lot of research and work around the continued inequalities in the education system. As we all know, an honest reflection on 30 years of South Africa's practices in schools cannot be discussed without facing the challenges. These are challenges such as gender-based violence and the effect it has on our children, teen and child pregnancy, racism and discrimination, and violence in schools. These highlight the vulnerabilities in society which affect our children and are further compounded by socioeconomic factors. For instance, 1 in 3 pregnant girls do not return to school, a situation that severely impacts their future prospects and perpetuates cycles of poverty. These are all issues that we as a collective must work together to address and ensure that everyone's rights to quality basic education in a safe environment is realized. So to the RCL learners who are here today, the success of this initiative depends on you ensuring that this message trickles down to every school and every learner in this country. We have faith in the ability of you as young leaders to carry this mission forward as we build schools that are safe and human rights friendly for you and for your peers. As we commemorate 30 years since independence, let us renew our commitment to ensuring that every child, regardless of their background or color of their skin, receives a quality education. Education is not merely a right, but a powerful tool for social and economic transformation. Together we can build a future where all children have the opportunity to thrive and contribute to the growth and prosperity of South Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause, please. The issue of gender-based violence is one that is affecting various departments, not only the Department of Basic Education, but other stakeholders as well that interact with the department. For example, the police service would be one. Even the media as well. So as a working journalist, I've covered so many stories about the killing of young women, for example, in various communities. And these are stories that trend. You know, we jump on a hashtag, we stand with Uyinene, we stand with this woman, we stand with that girl, we stand with this individual. But are we really seeing results on the ground? Are we seeing a decrease of these incidents? And what could contribute towards such societal issues being addressed? And one of the key areas that have been identified is schools. And so educating not only the young girl, but the boy as well, about treating their partner, for example, educating boys about their role as men and what that entails, what the role of men should be in society, and not just looking at it through, a traditional lens or a religious lens, but sitting right here now, what is your role? Whether you are a young girl as a leader or a boy and a leader in your school, what does that mean? Well, I think it means, learning more about it through the various programs that you could be getting from such platforms and such conferences, but also in your own circles. What are you doing when a friend of yours whistles at a girl and interacts with her inappropriately? Uyamkhuza? Or do you join in as well? What do you do? When a young girl is speaking in a snacks way as well, inciting violence, for example, what is your role as a young person? And these are issues, of course, that should be discussed. And these are issues that you should be championing as leaders in your schools. So I'd like to call upon Buyiswa Mpini, who is the component manager at the German International Development Corporation, from the partnerships of, the prevention of GBV. When your title is that long, you are getting money. I wonder if that's the case. Sisi Siyabonga for your time. Please come up. A round of applause for her, please.
So confused. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Allow me to write on the protocol that has already been observed. My name is Buyiswa Mpini, and I'm not going to steal anyone's title. The component manager is my supervisor, Grace Alu, and I stand on her behalf as the technical advisor in GIZ. Since it was said that this session is being streamlined and somewhere in the social media, I need to make sure that I represent the organization very well. So I am not the component manager, but I'm the technical advisor. I want to say thank you very much for this great opportunity for our organization to partner with the Department of Basic Education, as well with the Agape Youth Movement, where we are supporting the primary prevention of gender-based violence in our schools. I stand here very excited because I am sitting among the greats of today and tomorrow. As we all know that young people have the energy to change the future, but you start today because you are the leaders in your schools. Therefore, we have a hope for a South Africa that is gender-based violence free. Our organization is the German International Development Corporation, and I work for the program called PFP, which is the Partnerships for the Prevention of Gender-Based Violence. We believe in the power of partnerships. We believe in the power of collaboration, that with the social challenge that is gender-based violence, that I'm not going to reiterate the statistics that we all know, since our program director has sort of put the context very well. We know that for this challenge to be solved, it will not take only one person, but it will take all of our efforts together. And collaborating with young people is actually one of our key principles of working in partnerships. And we want to thank the Department of Basic Education as well as Agape Youth Movement for allowing us the opportunity to tap in the energy that is in this room, as you are all leaders in your own spaces. We all know that as a country, as a society, and as a world, we are really living under conditions where women and girls in particular are feeling very unsafe. And our country, South Africa, when issues are raised, especially when it comes to GBV, we know we are leading, and we don't like to be leading in that negative way, where we are said to be one of the countries in the world where women and girls do not feel safe. Therefore, how do we address this big challenge? We know that in terms of our response, we are doing well. We are trying to improve, especially through our National Strategic Plan on the prevention of gender-based violence and femicide. However, many of our efforts are on the response. We are dealing with this issue of gender-based violence when it has already manifested, and we know the consequences of the gender-based violence in the lives of the women, the young people, and our families. We know how it affects us adversely. Therefore, as GIZ, through our PFP program, we believe in focusing on primary prevention. Hence, we are partnering with you as RCL's leaders to actually make a difference in your schools. And thanks to AYM, Agape Youth Movement, in that regard. Riding on the previous speakers around the remembering or celebrating the 30 years of our democracy, we understand and we learn a lot of lessons from the youth of 1976, for they took it to be their responsibility to change the situations that they were facing at that particular time. Hence, as GIZ, through our partnerships for the prevention of gender-based violence program, we then saw it fit to say, for us to be able to focus on early prevention of gender-based violence, we have to work in shifting the social norms. We have to work hard in focusing on actually leveraging on the power that is youth agency. For when we work with young people, when we work in changing the mindset of young people, we know then that the next generation has hope, and we will be able to speak of a South Africa that is different to what we see today. Therefore, through the project, through the flagship, we call them flagships, that is called Asiyifuni iGBV in our schools. We do not want gender-based violence in our schools. We do not want, as young leaders, we do not want bullying in our schools. We do not want sexual violence in our schools. PFP is partnering with Agape Youth Movement to empower the RCLs in the schools, where we are going to provide an opportunity for some of you who are sitting here to learn what is gender-based violence and what role can you play in the prevention of gender-based violence in our schools. We are going to work together with you in ensuring that we roll out activities to advocate for GBV schools. We are working, believing that through the energy that is within you, we will be able to make a different South Africa tomorrow. For young people have always told us, and evidence have actually also shown that young people listen better to one another instead of listening from us oldies that are young at heart. Therefore, through the RCL flagship, we are saying together with young people, we are going to change the trajectory. We are going to change the narrative in our schools, where there will be no learner who will be discriminated against, where there will be no learner who will feel stigmatized, no learner who will feel unsafe, because together with young people, with especially the leaderships the leaders that are sitting in this room, in your schools, we will be rolling out the activities against gender-based violence. I want to say thank you for allowing GIZ to partner with you in ensuring that we are indeed one day going to speak of a South Africa where no child is abused, where no woman is killed by their partner. For you, as the leaders of today, for tomorrow, you will be partnering with us in ensuring that we change the mindsets, and we actually, from making our schools safer, we will then make our safer, and we will make our country a safer South Africa. Hashtag Asiyifuni EGBV, with the leaders leading the activities and advocacy against gender-based violence in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Another one, please. Speaking so strongly about gender-based violence, and for umuntu who didn't even know that they'll be speaking, I'm quite impressed by that. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, if you're tuning in via social media, welcome to you as well. We are looking at issues related to youth leaders. But not only that, exploring challenges, but also looking into solutions. My next guest needs no introduction. I can't exactly pinpoint where I met him, because he's honestly, like I said, everywhere. But la akona, you'll find him championing and spearheading youth-related issues. And that's why everyone has grown to love him. Love him or hate him, he'll be in such spaces. Uzan but too much. She understands what I'm talking about. My next guest is the Managing Director of the Agape Youth Movement, Umpati Wendawo. A round of applause, please.
I was panicking for the past 4, if not 5 months, when we were arranging this conference, because I was wondering how tall will the podium be. Now you speak and people feel like they're listening to a radio because they can hear the voice, but they can't see the face. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matsetse Vale Wagatleane. I am privileged to be the Managing Director at Agape Youth Movement and implementing partner of the Department of Basic Education. That is supporting DBE mainly on strengthening, activating, capacitating the representative council of learners. I would like to greet everyone in the house and say all protocol observed. I want to take 5 minutes A friend of mine, whenever he starts to speak, he'd say, I would want to be as short as a mini skirt. I don't want to say that. Now, delegates, when I was young, I want to start with a little bit of a story, because we're going to speak about the role of RCLs in a changing world. What is the RCL? How does it confront a changing world? When I was young, my dad, Mutukwa, I call all my fathers with their clean names. You can ask all these men that are sitting here. Bought a family dog, a very black, shiny black Staffordshire. If you know what a Staffordshire breed is, it's a very short dog that had so much energy. He gave me one responsibility. He said, you do not eat unless Bob has eaten. You don't drink water unless Bob has drank water. When I was in grade 4 causing chaos in class, Mem Gobeza said, Matsetse Bali, I am only going to punish you when I come back to a noisy class. First day I thought she was joking. She came back to a noisy class. I was the only one that was punished in front of the learners. It was only then when my leadership journey started. From grade 5, all the classes in which I was in, I was privileged to be a class rep. Sometimes I hated it. But through this journey, like I believe all of you as members of the Representative Council of Learners, you acquire critical thinking. You acquire the ability to think on your feet. Through this journey, you acquire innovative thinking. You put things that don't usually mix together to find a solution that can take us from point A to point B. Through this journey of being a learner leader, you also learn to not drink before Bob has drank. You learn to be a servant. You learn, you know, in primary school when we were responsible for sweeping, you know that you can't leave until the class is clean. You are the one who's responsible to ensure that every single person sweeps their row. If all rows have been swept but one is still dirty, the class is not clean. And you learn servanthood. You learn to be proactive. If this thing is about to fall, you don't speak to the person next to you and say, this thing is about to fall. We'll see you jumping to the stage to make sure that it does not fall. One thing, you acquire confidence. It does not matter how short you are or how short people keep on reminding you that you are. You know, as we were preparing for this conference, I was facilitating the preparatory meeting. I went on MS Teams. I put the laptop on the table. I stood up to play with everyone's psychology. When they saw me online, they thought, hey, this guy must be very tall. You say, but my man, how is there a part of you that is left at home? A lot of people with my physical stature struggle with confidence because they did not take the opportunity to be in a role that you are in. And if there's one thing that it gives you is confidence, which then builds resilience. You can see it in a tennis every time it bounces. Irrespective of how hard it hits the ground, it always comes up. That is